The call came on a Thursday morning while I was peeling oranges. Mallory's name lit up my screen. I smiled until I heard her voice. "Hey, Mom. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up. We forgot to get your plane ticket. Everything's so booked now. The hotel's full, too." She said it like she'd forgotten to buy napkins. I stood there, phone pressed to my ear juice running down my fingers. "Oh," I said. She didn't offer to check other flights. Didn't ask if I could still make it work. She just said, "It all happened so fast," and something about the resort having a head count. Then she hung up. "No, I love you. No, wish you could be there." I washed my hands in silence. Dried them on the towel with the embroidered M. Mallory's initial that I stitched 25 years ago. I sat on the edge of the couch, opened Instagram. I didn't have to search. There it was. Mallory on a beach chair, toes in the sand, a drink in hand. My ex-husband was there too. So was his new wife, all done up in silk and smiles. Family Week begins the caption read. Even her stepmother got a seat. I stared at that photo until my eyes blurred. Then I typed a message. "That happens. Have a beautiful day." I hit send. There wasn't any anger, not yet. Just something heavy and still in my chest. A pause. A noticing. They had planned this for months. The venue, the guests, the dresses. And somehow I hadn't crossed their minds. I sat by the window with my tea, watching a neighbor's dog dig in the snow. Inside the mug, the steam rose and vanished. Quietly, like someone leaving a room without saying goodbye. Tomorrow I'd pack a bag. But not for Hawaii. I didn't cry. That surprised me. You raise a child for 30 years, and when she forgets to include you in the most important day of her life, you expect something to break open inside you. But nothing did. I folded the dish towel and went to the hall closet for my knitting. The shawl I'd been working on for her bridal brunch sat unfinished. Soft ivory wool, 300 stitches wide. I tucked it into a basket without touching it. That afternoon, I scrubbed the fridge. Peeled old labels off spice jars. Rearranged the pantry just to hear something rattle. When the sun went down, I deleted the Facebook app. Instagram followed. Then the wedding group chat. I walked past the mirror in the hallway and didn't recognize my own face. It looked calm. Too calm. By the next morning, the neighborhood grapevine had bloomed. Mrs. Talbot saw my porch light still on. Mr. Caldwell waved and called out, "Did they live stream the ceremony?" "Yes," I lied. It was beautiful. Later that night, I opened the sewing box I hadn't touched since Mallory moved out. Inside were cloth napkins she helped embroider in 3rd grade. A dress I made for her winter recital. A sachet with her name stitched into the hem. None of it made the move to her new place. I was the only one who'd kept these things. The phone rang. I let it buzz 3 times. Voicemail. Then a second call. My sister. I picked up. "You weren't there," she asked gently. "They forgot," I said. That was all. The line went quiet. Then she whispered, "Oh, Dee." I didn't answer. I hung up, turned the phone over, and placed it screen down on the counter. The next day, I deleted every contact with Mallory's last name. Then I opened the cabinet, pulled out my small black suitcase, and wiped the dust off the handle. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. There was no need. I used my credit card points to book a one-way flight to San Diego. Not Hawaii. Not anywhere that smelled of Lay's or family packages. Just a quiet, coastal place where no one knew my face and no one would ask why I was alone. The flight was half empty. I didn't bring much, just my gray carry-on and a worn paperback I never finished. I didn't open it on the plane either. Just looked out the window and let the sky carry me somewhere softer. In San Diego, I stayed at a little inn near the harbor. I walked the boardwalk in the mornings, breathing in the salt air, watching couples pedal past on tandem bikes. I ate pineapple shrimp from a paper tray, sitting cross-legged on a bench, hands sticky and warm. I passed a community flyer board near the pier. A torn paper caught my eye. Business logistics for late bloomers. The name made me smile. So I went. It was held in a modest room inside the public library. Maybe 10 people in folding chairs. Nobody wore makeup. Nobody asked me who I was there for. I sat in the back, taking quiet notes I didn't think I'd ever use. The instructor, Helen, was everything. I wasn't sharp, direct silver hair, pulled back like she was ready to audit the universe. 72, she said. Semi-retired consulting, part-time. During a break, she sat next to me with her coffee. Why are you hiding? She asked, no preamble. I blinked. I'm not hiding. She smiled. Sure. I didn't answer. But when I got back to the hotel, I signed up for the next session. Then the next. Helen noticed. She always did. And I began to notice something too, how good it felt to be seen without a label, a history, or an apology. By the third week, I had memorized the bus schedule and learned how to say logistics optimization without fumbling. It wasn't home. But it didn't need to be. Not yet. 6 months later, I unpacked my last box in a modest one-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. It faced an alley and smelled faintly of paint, but it was mine. I'd signed the lease with my own name, my own credit, no co-signer, no emergency contact listed. Helen had offered me a part-time coordinator role at her boutique travel logistics firm after a workshop ended, and she pulled me aside. You used to be an archivist, she asked. I nodded. Well, you already know how to keep secrets and move mountains. I need someone like that. I didn't tell her about Mallory. I didn't tell her about Hawaii, or the wedding, or the box of old embroidery still tucked in my suitcase. Instead, I learned to manage itineraries and translate emails from overworked assistants in Milan. I downloaded software with intimidating names and learned each one by trial and error. When I made a mistake, Helen didn't raise her voice. She raised an eyebrow, then showed me the right way. I started arriving early and leaving late. Kept a thermos of green tea on my desk and 3 chargers in my bag. We were a team of 5 women, all over 50, none of us waiting for someone to approve our lives anymore. On Fridays, Helen bought us lunch and never asked personal questions. She gave bonuses in cash envelopes, no speeches, just a nod. When I hit my first 6-month review, she left a sticky note on my desk, "You stayed." That's more than most. I saved nearly everything I earned, skipped takeout, walked instead of Lyft, and watched YouTube videos on advanced booking platforms in the evenings. I didn't post anything. I didn't reach out. I didn't look up Mallory. No one congratulated me. No bouquets, no applause. But I noticed people waited for my answers now. They asked for my opinion. They forwarded their clients to me when things went sideways. And when Helen sent me my first full solo assignment, I didn't flinch. I packed my laptop, took the itinerary, and boarded the train to San Francisco. The postcard came without warning, wedged between a coupon flyer and a dental bill. It was from my cousin, Danielle. I hadn't spoken to her since the rehearsal dinner 3 years ago. She didn't write anything, just circled the image in glittery ink. Mallory. In a silk gown. Cutting cake beside her stepmother. The caption read, "So grateful for our private family celebration." Private. That was the word that stuck. I stood by the counter, the card in one hand, the magnet in the other. I didn't feel the usual sting, just a tight, clean sort of quiet inside me. I placed it on the fridge, centered, visible, not for memory, for precision. I began sketching something that night. Not on paper, just in my head. I wasn't going to write a letter or pick up the phone, no guilt tripping, no asking why. Mallory had made herself clear. But I knew one thing better than most, how to package something beautifully, how to offer an experience no one could refuse. Over the next few days, I drafted outlines for a travel package. Luxury, but attainable. Romantic, but flexible. A second honeymoon experience. Fully funded. Fully personalized. Presented as a giveaway from Helen's company, an exclusive surprise to a newlywed couple, nominated through a quiet referral. I submitted the design mock-ups to Helen under the name Client Proposal A. She scanned them, nodded. Looks good. We could test this. We both knew someone like Mallory would take the bait, not because it was free, but because it felt elite. I listed 2 names as recipients, Mallory Langston Pierce and Daniel Pierce. Their address wasn't hard to find. The mailer would go out by the end of the week. Clean font. Gilded envelope. It would look like fate. I placed another magnet next to the postcard. This one shaped like a tiny plane. Then I sat down at my desk and began building the itinerary. If they thought I was invisible, they were about to follow a path I'd drawn myself. It took 3 weeks to get the tone just right. I designed the mailer under Helen's brand like we'd done dozens of times for high-end clients. Elegant font, crisp layout, a warm message. Congratulations, you've been selected for an exclusive deluxe honeymoon experience in Tokyo, fully sponsored by a partner agency. Mallory replied in less than 6 hours. We were just talking about Japan, she wrote. This is unreal. Is it really all expenses paid? I answered through the agency account, attaching terms and welcome notes. Everything professional, nothing personal. She didn't recognize my hand in the itinerary. Why would she? Helen reviewed the bookings, raised a brow when she saw the upgrade details. Presidential suite. They'll expect nothing less, I said. I booked them for 10 days. Curated restaurants, private transport, rooftop spa. I even included a kimono fitting and lantern walk through the Gion district. All the extras. I knew Mallory would post every step. I also knew what mattered more, where they'd stay. The hotel was 5-star understated and one of our firm's preferred partners. I reserved them a corner suite with a Tokyo Tower view. Then I booked myself into the suite next door. Same floor, same arrival window, different purpose. I didn't tell Helen. I didn't ask permission. By now, she trusted my judgment. The day before departure, Mallory sent a final note. We still can't believe this is happening. We feel so lucky. I stared at that message longer than I needed to. Not out of longing, just to feel the shape of it. What her words looked like when she thought I wasn't watching. I packed light. Just the essentials. When I zipped the bag closed, I slipped the old postcard off the fridge and tucked it in the side pocket. The same magnet held a new one in its place. Tokyo in cherry blossom season. The hotel lobby smelled faintly of jasmine and lacquered wood. Polished floors, soft piano music in the corner. I'd arrived 2 hours earlier, checked in without fuss, and now sat in the lounge with a green tea and a book I wasn't really reading. I saw them before they saw me. Mallory stepped in first, laughing at something Daniel said, her sunglasses still perched on her head. Her eyes scanned the atrium, then stopped. Her smile faltered. She froze. I turned a page. Mom, she asked, voice unsure. I looked up slowly. Welcome, I said. You made it this time. She took 2 steps closer, still gripping the travel folder. What is this? How are you here? I set the book down gently, reached into my bag, pulled out a slim gray folder. Your full itinerary, I said, handing it to her. Room 2311 is yours. Room 2310 is mine. Daniel stood beside her, now confused. Mallory opened the folder, flipped through the sleek papers and booking confirmations. You organized this, I nodded. It's part of my work now. But why would you do all this? Her voice was still low-guarded. I took another sip of tea. Because I can. No one raised their voice. No one caused a scene. The concierge smiled politely behind the desk. A couple passed by, admiring the koi pond. Mallory looked around the space like she wasn't sure if it was real. She glanced back at Daniel, who said nothing. I stood up, adjusted the strap of my purse. "Dinner's on your schedule," I said, nodding to the folder. "You'll find the key cards in the envelope." She didn't follow me. She didn't move. I walked toward the elevator, each step measured. When the doors opened, I pressed the button for floor 23. It closed with a soft chime. I made the reservation quietly. No flashy restaurant, no skyline views, just a traditional place tucked behind a bookstore, low lighting, soft music, and tables spaced far apart. At first, Mallory didn't reply. Then 4 hours before the dinner, she sent one line, "Will come." They arrived 5 minutes late. Daniel greeted me kindly. Mallory gave a polite nod, her eyes flicking to the tea kettle on the table instead of mine. We ordered small plates. I let the waiter choose. Mallory barely touched the gyoza. She moved the rice around with her chopsticks, but the bowl stayed full. Daniel tried to fill the space with light conversation work projects, a podcast he liked, The Cherry Blossoms. I listened. Quiet. Steady. When the plates were cleared and the tea refreshed, I folded my napkin and placed it gently beside my plate. "I didn't come to fight," I said. "I came because no one came for me." That's all I said. Nothing more. The silence that followed felt too still, like a room just before glass shatters. Daniel looked down. Mallory blinked once, then again. Her hands resting on her lap trembled just enough to catch the candlelight. No apology came, no confession. But she didn't deny it either. I stood and reached for my purse. "Dinner's covered," I said softly. No one stopped me as I walked out. The wind had picked up outside. I pulled my scarf tighter around my neck. And just before I turned the corner, I glanced back. Mallory was still at the table, unmoving. Like someone hearing the echo of a sound she hadn't noticed was missing. Back at the hotel, I took the stairs instead of the elevator. Room 2310 greeted me in silence. But inside my bag was packed. Tomorrow's train was already booked. I woke up before sunrise. The city hadn't stirred yet, just the faint hum of trucks in the distance. I dressed slowly, packed the last of my things, folded the receipt from the hotel, and tucked it into my wallet. Then I reached for the envelope I'd prepared the night before. Cream cardstock. No name on the front. Just the clean edge of truth. Inside were 3 things. The receipt for the engagement photos, framed and posted on social media back when she still tagged me. The invoice for the venue deposit transferred from my account months before she said they'd finalized things. And a single handwritten note on archival paper. "You said you forgot." I never did. No bitterness, no flourish. Just the facts. I slipped the envelope under their door. Room 2311. A quiet sound against the carpet. By the time they found it, I'd be on a different train. The hotel lobby was quiet when I checked out. I left no message, no forwarding address. Just a polite thank you, and a bowed head to the clerk, who offered me bottled water for the road. Outside, the air was brisk, clean. I boarded the Shinkansen to Kyoto without hesitation. There was no one waiting for me. And I felt no ache about that. I sat by the window and watched the city fall away behind the glass. Somewhere on another floor, someone would read the things I'd carried for too long. Not to punish, just to show they were real. My bag was lighter, my breath steadier. When the train pulled out of Tokyo Station, I didn't look back. I leaned into the movement, the rhythm of departure. Kyoto waited, and so did the version of me who no longer needed to be remembered by anyone to feel whole. A year passed. California softened beneath my feet again. Same coast, different woman. Helen retired last spring. She handed me the lead without ceremony, just an email, and her favorite mug left on my desk. I run the travel coordination team now. 5 women, 3 languages between us, and more stamps in our passports than most people collect in a lifetime. We meet twice a month for planning. Once a week, I host evening seminars, small focused. Women over 60, stepping into what's next. They always ask the same thing. Am I too late? I always smile. Last Tuesday, between one session and a team briefing, a card arrived in the office mail. No return address. My name in soft ink. I opened it, standing by the window, the late sun low over the hills. Inside, just one line, I saw what you built. I'm sorry. No name, but I knew. I placed the card in the second drawer of my desk, next to a roll of stamps, and the spare charger no one ever remembers to bring. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the new brochures that afternoon. Spring Package Lisbon, river walks, tile workshops, wine if they want it. I booked 5 rooms, then added a 6th just in case someone showed up late to the story and still wanted a seat. The next morning, I watched the fog burn off the hillside as I finalized the itinerary. No bitterness, no echo, just movement, just space.